So what are some of the most rewarding aspects of being a successful author?
I think the most rewarding aspect for me is a trip like this, is that I write my books in my small town. When I'm writing a book, I have a lot of doubts. I'm not sure if anybody will like what I'm writing. I think it's also important to recognize that kids read books to be entertained. And so when they sense that an adult is moralizing to them or trying to teach them a lesson, it might turn them off from reading. So I think it's really important to be honest with kids and
Hello and welcome to timesofIndia.com. Jeff Kinney needs no introduction. The author of one of the most iconic best-selling series for children, The Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Jeff is also a cartoonist and currently a man on a mission to save libraries. A very warm welcome to you, Jeff.
Thank you very much for having me, Smita. It's very nice to meet you.
Jeff, I'm as excited as a 12-year-old would be right now, welcoming you yet again. And I have, in fact, don't look at my age, but I have been a fan of your books. I've been reading them all.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, The Diary of a Wimpy Kid started as a web series. So, how did you plan it? And would you like to share the story behind it?
Sure. I always wanted to be a newspaper cartoonist in the US. I tried to get my cartoons published, but nobody liked my work. So I had to figure out a different way to get my cartoons in print. So I had the idea for Diary of a Wimpy Kid in 1998. I worked on it for about 8 or 9 years before I showed it to a publisher. I started publishing on the web at first, and then my publisher turned it into a print book series in 2007. And my life has been really crazy ever since then. And I've gotten to travel all over the world because of these books. I've gotten to travel to 42 countries so far, and this is my second time in India.
Okay, how do you like India?
I love it. I can't wait because I'm in Mumbai now. I'm in a hotel and I haven't gotten out into the world. I haven't gotten to meet any kids yet. And I'm sure that when I do tomorrow night, it's going to really fill up my cup and fill up my bucket and really make my heart feel very full.
Amazing. So, how do you come up with the ideas for each Wimpy Kid book? And what inspired No Brainer?
I really wanted to write this time about the school system because I think school and education is there's so much comedy to be found there. So I wanted to write about everything from budget cuts to standardized testing to the pressure that kids face every day. And I wanted to really focus only on school. Usually my books are about different things, family vacations, the holidays. I focus on a different thing in each book, and I really try to focus on something that feels like I haven't explored before. So I've been doing a lot of thinking about what my next book will be about, and I'm not sure I've landed on it just yet.
Okay. So you have always been very vocal about inculcating reading habits in children, and now you're doing an invaluable contribution towards generating renewed interest in libraries. So would you like to tell us about this entire initiative?
Yeah, in the US, I've been going around actually in the US and in the UK and Germany, celebrating libraries and librarians and donating money to them to use as they see fit. So I think that libraries are really underfunded in my part of the world at least. And so I really want to do what I can to help libraries to purchase the books that they need.
Okay. So how do you develop the characters in the series?
Could you say that one more time? It cut out for 1 second.
Yeah. So, Jeff, how do you develop your characters in the series? I mean, what's the idea behind developing each character? How
I
do you
see.
plan it?
Yeah, well, the characters are really kind of versions of my own family members. So the spark of of each one of the characters started with my own family members. And then I sort of put it through the blender, the fiction blender, to make them as funny as possible. So I forget about the facts and I just go with the comedy. And the characters, in a way, once I developed them and once I created the characteristics of them, I haven't really changed them. They don't really change over time because cartoon characters really want to stay the same. Because kids like to revisit those characters and they like for them to always be the same and to be very reliable.
So, Jeff, these days we find more and more kids, spending time with their mobile phones and not paying so much attention to books. So, do you have some tips for parents, to inculcate this habit in their children?
I think the best thing that parents can do is to role model reading. If parents are reading after dinner or around the house, I think it starts in the home. And I think it's really important for parents to take their kids to the library or to bookstores and allow kids to make their own choices about what they want to read. Because when a kid gets a book that they like, they get a sense of agency. They get a feeling of empowerment. And I think it's really important for a kid to feel that because when they make it to the end of a book, they'll reach for another.
So you have interacted with numerous librarians, and you have been working in this field. So do you think that libraries also need to step up to meet this new challenge that they are facing, of less and less people reading actual books?
I think librarians do a great job of connecting kids with books. I think it's really important to treat books as almost like sacred objects in a way, because a kid, when they encounter a book, they encounter it as a physical object. That's so much better than getting a download or something like that. So I think that librarians are already doing a good job. I don't know that they need to really step up, but I think that we need to step up as a society to make sure that librarians are supported, that their facilities are nice, that the books are new, and that they're nicely displayed.
So what are some of the most rewarding aspects of being a successful author?
I think the most rewarding aspect for me is a trip like this, is that I write my books in my small town. When I'm writing a book, I have a lot of doubts. I'm not sure if anybody will like what I'm writing. And then in September, I release the book to my publisher. And then 2 or 3 months later, I go out into the world and I get to come to places like India and to meet the kids who read what I wrote. And that's the magic of publishing. And it's a very gratifying thing to be an author and then to meet your fans.
So our readers, many of them are authors also. So they want to know that how to become a best-selling author like Jeff.
I think
Some tips that you would like to share with them.
Yeah, I think it's really important as a children's author not to write down to kids. I think that a lot of children's authors, they think, well, I'm a grown-up and I need to teach kids a lesson. And I think that it's important that some books have lessons. I think that it's important that books have messages, but I think it's also important to recognize that kids read books to be entertained. And so when they sense that an adult is moralizing to them or trying to teach them a lesson, it might turn them off from reading. So I think it's really important to be honest with kids and to meet them at their level.
Okay. And before we end this interview, my last question to you is that do you have any message to share for your young readers here in India?
Sure. I think it's important to read books by people that didn't grow up like you, maybe don't look like you, maybe have a little bit of a different experience than you, because when you do, you learn about another human being. And books can do that in a way that nothing else can. You can step inside the head of a reader. So I think it's important to read outside of your comfort zone and to read a diverse array of books.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure it was to connect with you. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Thank you.
Likewise, thank you very much. It was great to meet your child. Take care. Thank you.
If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and leave your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, subscribe for more content on health and lifestyle.